Welcome to another beautiful day here in the village. If this is your first time here, welcome and let us know where you're watching from. My name is Sowino. Recently, my husband bought me a piece of land and we decided to start building a simple village house that we hope will grow into a cozy, peaceful home. It hasn't all been smooth. There have been a few hiccups here and there, as expected with these things. But I truly believe that's just part of the journey, part of growth, and I'm so glad you're here to walk this path with us. So today we took a trip to the timber yard. We were on a mission to get door frames and window frames for the house. Now, when we first sat down to design this house, we really wanted something that felt different. Something simple, traditional, but still unique to us. And I think that kind of explains the roof we have used, some elements in the house that you'll see later on, and even, quote unquote, the small windows we ended up going with. Although, let's be honest, when you really look at them, they're not that small. But we'll get into all that a bit later in the video. So originally, we were planning to use 4x2 frames, but after doing some quick maths, we figured out it made more sense to buy 6x2 frames instead and just divide them into two. That way, you get more for less. Quick maths there, I know, but every little saving counts when you're building from scratch. This is what I think, and feel free to correct me in the comments if I am wrong. But when it comes to window frames, door frames, and even the doors themselves, cypress wood, what most people in Kenya call cypress, is one of the most commonly used options, especially in rural and semi-urban builds. First of all, it's readily available locally. It's grown in Kenyan highlands, in places like Mount Elgon, Timboroa, and parts of Nyandarua. So, you'll find it in most timber yards without too much hassle. It's naturally resistant to rot and some pests, including termites, which is a big plus for us because, as I mentioned earlier, we are building in an area with quite a number of termites. The wood is also soft enough to cut and shape easily, but still strong enough to handle regular use, making it ideal for carpentry work like this. And compared to hardwoods like mahogany or mvule, it's more affordable while still holding its strength and beauty when treated properly. So for us, cypress felt like the practical, cost-friendly, and the reliable choice. Of course, other people might go for different type of window frames. Some prefer hardwoods, others might use metal, aluminium, or even PVC in more modern homes. But for a traditional build like ours, cypress just made the most sense, and it blends really well with the natural feel of a mud and makuti house. Some people also add metal grills for extra security, especially on kitchen or front-facing windows. I'm honestly not sure how that will look on this house just yet, but we'll definitely think about it and decide later on if we want to add them. Hiyo inaanguka. The timber wasn't too bulky and we didn't have a lot of it either. So we just decided to call a tuk-tuk from the road to help us transport everything to the site. It felt like the simplest and affordable option, and it got the job done. Also, the men at the yard were kind enough to help us pack the timber onto the tuk-tuk. Once everything was loaded up and secured, we left for the site. Simple, quick, and efficient, just the way we like it. Once we arrived, they got straight to work. Here, they were using a handsaw to cut the timber down to the right sizes for the window frames. Initially, the measurements we had taken were purely for the windows. But after doing the quick math, we realized these same pieces could actually be used to make up to around 3 door frames if we use them wisely. The reason we didn't start with the door frames first is because the spots where the doors are supposed to go in still need a bit more work. Plus, the next morning, we were planning to buy more used oil, diesel, and anti-termite solution to treat the floors. We are actually planning to dig tiny holes across the floor and pour the mixture in there. When I say pouring, I don't mean just twisting it. And also, we are not digging big holes like we did for the main posts, just small ones. Because remember, our biggest enemy right now is the termite. And even though we have been told this timber is naturally termite resistant, we are still taking extra precautions. So, yeah, that's where the dilemma came in. But honestly, no regrets. We now have timber that can work for both windows and doors, and at half the price we would have paid if we had bought them separately without splitting them. After cutting the timber, they used a spirit level while placing them on the window spaces, just to make sure everything sat straight. So, since we can clearly see the window here, let's just talk a little bit about it. Like I mentioned earlier, when we were coming up with this house design, we wanted something traditional and simple, and that really guided our window sizes. I don't take it for granted that many of you have been leaving your thoughts and suggestions about the house and what you'll do differently. I really appreciate that. It means you're walking this journey with us. When we first measured the windows during the feature stage, we were so keen to make sure they weren't smaller than what we have now. One reason was natural light. And honestly, so far the lighting has been pretty good. I know someone might say, "So, wait until you have installed the windows and doors. Maybe it's only well ventilated now because there are gaps everywhere." And yes, fair point. But even after testing the space at different times of day and in different weather, I can say this house lights up really well. I have found myself spotting things around the house as early as 7 or 8 in the evening, without using a spotlight or torch. So I think the windows are doing their job. Also, and this is important, the walls aren't thick or strong enough to hold huge modern style windows. Remember, this is a madhouse. If we add too much modernity to it, we lose the whole charm and balance of the traditional build. Large windows in a madhouse can even be a structural risk, especially during heavy rains or even windy seasons. They weaken the wall and reduce insulation. So, yes, while our windows might look small now, they were intentional. Let's wait until we install the actual windows and the idea we have for finishing them. Maybe then even you might look at them and think, okay, maybe they weren't so small after all. For now, we're just trusting the process and hoping everything makes sense in the end. We actually weighed a few different options before settling on this design. That's why I even mentioned earlier, I'm still not sure how it will look with metal grills. We are still figuring that part out. There were so many different styles we could have gone with. Some people prefer sliding windows, Others go for the pivot ones that open outwards, or even the classic louvered style. All beautiful in their own way. But let's be honest, not everything fits a madhouse. With a traditional build like this, you want something that complements the structure, not fights it. Heavy or ultra-modern windows will not only look out of place, but might also strain the walls, especially if they are too wide or heavy. That's why we lean towards something wooden, light, and simple. Just enough to bring in light and air, but still keep that warm, authentic village feel. So yes, we are still taking it one step at a time, and when it gets to deciding whether or not to add metal grills, we'll cross that bridge and see if it blends with everything else. I had seen people asking about where the toilet is. People usually start with outside toilets and so on. And if we're really being honest with you all, we hadn't planned to start on the outdoor toilet and bathroom just yet. But now that we are slowly getting closer to the end of this build, certain things have started to feel a bit more urgent. You see, the bathroom inside will need proper drainage, and that means we have to figure out where that waste is going. That's how we randomly decided to pick a spot and start digging a hole for the septic tank. It wasn't something we sat down and planned weeks ahead. It was more like we are on site, looked around and thought, you know what, this might be the right spot. Plus, some of that soil can be reused inside the house during finishing, so it made sense to just go ahead and get started. At this point in the video, we were actually taking some quick measurements to figure out how big the septic hole should be in terms of length and width. Because in terms of depth, we already knew we wanted to go 25 feet deep. We had thought about buying a biodigester tank instead, which would have meant digging only a few feet. But we never really found someone who could break it down for us properly. We have seen the billboards, done a bit of research online, but some of these things are easier to decide on when you have heard about them directly from someone who's used them. And to be fair, most of our neighbors have stuck with the basics. They have dug traditional pit latrines, and many don't even have bathrooms or toilets inside their houses. So in the end, we just chose to go with what we know and dig a septic tank. We'll figure out the rest along the way, especially once we begin the actual plumbing work. I also saw someone in the comments asking if we'll be doing plumbing inside the house. And yes, we will. We already have a kitchen that will need a sink, access to water, proper drainage, and all those little details. And of course, the bathroom and toilet will need a good plumbing service too. So right now, we have just marked the area that feels suitable for the underground septic. And as always, we are taking things step by step, learning and adjusting as we go. And if there is anyone watching who has used a biodigester tank before, please let us know in the comments. How does it actually work and how well has it served you over time? We will really love to hear your experience because sometimes it's easier to decide when you have heard from someone who has gone through it firsthand. Getting the measurements right, like aligning the lengths and widths, was a bit of a struggle. You'll think it's just digging a hole, but when you start considering where the toilet and bathroom will sit afterwards and making sure everything fits comfortably after the septic is sealed and cemented, it becomes a little tricky. But somehow, we figured it out. A bit of trial and error, a lot of pointing and measuring, doing and undoing. But in the end, we got something that works. Just a quick reminder, if you're watching us for the first time, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We actually have a full playlist documenting this build from day one all the way to where we are now. So feel free to catch up, binge watch the videos, and share your thoughts on how the build is coming along. And to our returning subscribers, asanteni sana. Thank you so much for always coming back to watch our videos. Your support honestly means the world to us. Eventually, the guys figured it out and managed to get the right measurements. aligning both the length and the width just as we needed. It wasn't the easiest part of the day, but we're glad it all came together. After that, they shifted their focus back to finishing up the window frames. As for the digging, it's not starting immediately, but I'll definitely keep you updated once that kicks off. Every step of this build has been such a learning process, and I'm just really grateful to have you walking through it with me. Your feedback, encouragement, and presence here mean more than you know. I'm so excited for what's ahead, and I can't wait to catch you in the next video. Same place, same dream, just one step further. Bye! We shall try again tomorrow.